Greetings, YouTube. Today's article comes from Science Daily and was posted on the 6th. I'm going to read the opening tagline. It's really well summed up. Homophobia is more pronounced in individuals with an unacknowledged attraction to the same sex and who grew up with authoritarian parents who forbade such desires, a series of psychological studies demonstrates. Now, for those of us out there who've been reading about human psychology and sexuality for any period of time, and I've been studying it on and off for 20 plus years, probably longer, this is going to be a moment where you want to just look at the article and go, duh! But apparently, to a lot of people, this is news. And it's news that needs to be spread around, which is why I'm doing this video and why I'm going to link to this article. A number of different schools have been involved in this study, so it's a fairly broad bit of research. And I don't think it should really surprise anybody that if a person finds themselves in a situation where they're not sure about their feelings towards the genders in the world around them, and they know that they are in a family that is opposed to certain categories of attraction, that kind of psychological and emotional pressure is going to cause stress. And that stress is eventually going to cause the person a lot of anxiety and quite possibly looking for a means to relieve that stress. And if that relieving process involves derogatory comments or violence against people from the group that they cannot be a member of because of the social constraints placed upon them by their family and the group and society around them, it shouldn't surprise anyone. This is why we find things like, you know, the joke. It says, what's the toughest thing about being a neocon? Telling your parents you're gay. Because a lot of these people seem to be going into these ultra-conservative positions because they're trying to hide who they are. Now, you remember a few years back, some senator, and I can't remember his name, the guy with the catchphrase, the wide stance, that guy? Well, he was apparently caught in a men's bathroom doing strange things with his feet. And his argument was that he just was taking a wide stance in the stall. Apparently he felt that he needed to do that to do his business. But when I was reading a book recently on language, The Stuff of Thought, part of a chapter they discussed was all about dealing with the repression that being a minority group in a majority puts on you and is reflected in language. The kind of your words we use and things like that. And in it, a man, I think he was in his 60s or 70s, talked about that in the 50s and 60s, for a gay man that wanted to make contact with another gay man, a common trait was to sit in a bathroom stall. And when someone sat next to you, you started to move your feet. And you waited to see if they moved their feet. And you moved your feet a little more. And you waited for them to move their little feet a little more. And you kept doing this. And so long as there was no contact, it was no harm, no foul. That's it. You could explain it as a nervous twitch. But as soon as there was contact, dink, bingo. That meant I'm interested in you. I found that fascinating. The levels of complexity we add to people's lives because we can't accept them for who they are. Our society says, no, you can't behave this way. So they had to come up with this bizarre, arcane method of communication just because the world around them said, no, if you are gay, you must hide it. And so they did this little foot dance thing. And that's apparently what this senator was doing. Little foot dance thing. Trying to make a connection. I'm not sure if that's still a process used by gay men in today's world. Heck, there are numerous apps available for Apples and Androids which are all about hooking up. So I think it's a lot more open now. But still, even in the 21st century in 2012, we have situations where homophobia is rampant and people are abused verbally and physically because of it. So I linked to this article. I hope that somebody out there will read it and realize that maybe they don't have to be a homophobe anymore. Maybe they can just accept who they are. And if they can't come out of the closet, okay, I understand that. that maybe they could just stop hating themselves and the world around them.